She is here. I mean, are we Caitlin Roth or are we Caitlin Barnes? What are you going with? Are you going with
Oh my gosh. I'm still Caitlin Roth. And by the way, Sarah, first of all, thank you for having me. I
Oh
love
my
seeing you.
God. Are you kidding? I love it. I love to it's so fun because again, you're one of like, I call them the OC, the original crew. I mean, I've got to see you for years. We used to all gab it up in the Weather Center back at that, dungeon they had us
Sure.
in at the old Fox 5 in that basement,
Yeah.
so
Oh God. Quite an upgrade since. Yes.
yes. So it's fun because now I get to interview you.
I know. And yes, it's amazing. I cannot believe I'm actually a part of an original crew. I mean, I still don't feel like I haven't been here that long, but yeah, I guess I have. 6.5 years I've been at Fox 5, and I am now, well, I'm still Caitlin Roth, and I'm going to keep Roth as I'm going to keep my maiden name as my on-air name. And quite frankly, I want to switch legally my last name to Barnes, but it seems like a lot of work, and I've just gotten around.
I've never switched mine. That's what everyone said. Everyone said it's so much worse. I'm like, forget it. I haven't even been up for it. And then I just had a kid. So I was like, screw it.
Okay, then it'll never happen now. You won't have free time again for 18 years. Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe like for our 25th wedding anniversary, I'll change it then. But
it would be a nice gift. I know, but who needs more work right now? And no one wants to deal with, I mean, during COVID, the DMV, all the papers, credit cards, no, forget it.
Crazy.
So it's being tabled.
So, most viewers listening to this have followed your journey. They know that you and Tucker obviously worked together in weather. Now you are married. How many years, by the way, did you two date and were you together before you got married?
So it's funny. I just said I've been at Fox 5 for 6.5 years. I've also been dating Tucker for 6.5 years.
Really? Wait a minute.
We got to go and I know we met and started dating pretty quickly. And then so here's our milestones. That was in like the spring of 2015.
Okay.
We moved in together about a year and a half later. So that was the fall of 2016. We got engaged 2 years ago, the fall of 2019. And then we finally got married 2 months ago in September.
Wow. So you guys had a 2-year engagement.
Yeah, but it was only supposed to be 1 year because like everyone else, so, we got engaged in the end of 2019, started planning our wedding, which we always wanted to be a small destination wedding to Bermuda. Bermuda was a place we'd been together that we loved. Tucker has a family history there. He grew up going there. He had family that lived there.
Okay.
I mean, it's an awesome place. Anyways, we literally signed the contract with the hotel where we were doing the wedding on March 1st, 2020.
Oh no!
I know.
If you waited if you waited 1 week, like 1 week.
I know. And to be honest, at the time, there was already like rumblings, like, the pandemic is coming, right? But who could have ever thought? So
yeah.
It was at some point that summer. It was supposed to be for October of 2020. At some point that summer, we bumped it to this past September. And honestly, even that, it was the pandemic's not over. So it just, we just dealt with it the whole time.
It was, yeah, I'm sure it was so much, right? Coordinating to get people there, to make sure they had, I'm sure. Did you guys have to prove like you had the vaccine? Did you have to you probably had to get tested all the time?
Oh, it was such an ordeal. I mean, it was, you take planning a wedding and which I know you know about this and everyone jumps in with their opinion too. So it's like you're crisis managing all these people. But yes, so to travel internationally, at least to Bermuda, you had to prove you're vaccinated. You have to test before you go, when you arrive, and before you go back to the United States. So all of our guests had to take 3 tests.
Oh my God.
They hated us.
Now, wait a minute.
They hated us.
In your relationship, in your marriage with Tucker and your relationship, who's the organizer? Because I have to say, actually, my husband did most of our wedding planning, which was
really,
yeah, it was really crazy. I mean, he is like a spreadsheets guy. So he would have everything like on the spreadsheet with a date that it needed to be accomplished. And I just got a copy of the spreadsheet of like things that I had to do. Dan is like very anally organized. But anyway, yeah.
God.
So
Schman is the spreadsheet guy.
Schman loves himself a spreadsheet. Like Excel is like, he'd be married to Excel if he could, I mean, so
oh my God.
Who planned it? Was it you or Tucker?
Oh, it was all me. I mean, I could hang out with Schman and talk Excel with him for hours because and I think that you and Tucker could sit back and be like, wow, we just showed up to this great wedding. It was awesome.
It was great. I was going to say, Tucker must have been, I was so relaxed in our wedding day because I didn't have to coordinate a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. No, I mean, look, I am the type A personality of the two of us. I'm the organizer, I'm the planner, I make 1,000 lists, I do all of that. Tucker, though, like he would be like, okay, well, I don't really I have nothing to say about that, whatever it was, some part of the wedding. But then when I would run it by him, all of a sudden he does have like really strong opinions, and he'd be like, this is the way that I want it to be, and I'm like, all right, sure. So jump in whenever you want.
You're
But
like, yeah, great. Take over this responsibility.
I know. And he was like, his one thing was before we got into it, like, look, I don't want a big, crazy wedding sort of thing. And I respected that. I mean, I didn't, even before the pandemic, I was like, I didn't want a big wedding either. But so we always agreed on that. But it was a little like, I think I was maybe steering the ship a little too much in a wedding direction. He'd have to rein it back in. But it's hard not to. It's a slippery slope.
You get so caught up, don't you? Like, you never thought you would care about like cake flavors, frosting,
Never.
wedding dresses. You never thought. I mean, by the way, did you only have one dress? And because I ended up purchasing two dresses. Like, how did you get one dress and stick with it?
I did because, well, so that was another thing. Like, I bought my dress in round one, year one of the wedding planning, 2020. And oh my God, Sarah, this was like, everything was closed, but I still thought I needed to get a dress, thinking my wedding in October of 2020 would happen, but nothing was open, right? So I ordered a bunch online, but there was also a boutique in DC in which they allowed me to rent several dresses for the weekend. I would go pick it up. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're all wearing gloves and masks and it's all covered in plastic. And I take it home for the weekend and try them on. Took pictures of myself, did like a Zoom session with my mom. Then you wrap it all up and take it back. Those early days were dark days. They were like,
so dark.
you can't even buy a wedding dress. So no, once I found one, I was like, this is it. I am done with this process.
Okay, now what in Bermuda is the significance of the socks? Like, because Tucker wore socks, right? That were kind of up to his knees and then shorts, right? So I'm like, this has to be like a Bermudan thing, right? Like,
totally.
Okay,
yes.
So what's the significance of what Tucker wore?
Okay, so he and all of the men there for our rehearsal dinner wore what's called Bermuda shorts and Bermuda socks. So it's like, they look like knee-length kind of chinos shorts and then socks that go up to the knees. And this is in Bermuda, they're their own country, but they're British. Like, they follow the monarchy. They're backed by the British military. They all drink tea. And for whatever reason on this island, back God knows when there was really heavy British influence, this is how they dressed. It was like very formal, but because it's Bermuda, they wore shorts.
Okay.
So it's very much just a Bermuda thing, but they all wear it today still. Like, all the men, because it's kind of a more formal place. Your servers, everyone at the hotel, that's what they wear.
Wow.
So it was kind of an ode to Bermuda, and like Tucker, when he grew up, he vacationed there with his family, and it was nostalgic.
Do you feel like you've been living a reality show? Because you've been like, the minute people found out publicly that you were dating Tucker, it's like you've almost been thrust into this. Like, you guys have to reveal like all these milestones about your life, right? Like,
I know, it's so ridiculous.
When did you two collectively go, okay? I mean, I'm sure, I can't even remember, but I'm sure people started to whisper like, oh, Tucker and Caitlin are together, whatever, right? I mean, it's so long ago. Like, I can't even remember when. But when did you guys decide like, all right, we're just going to say it publicly?
I mean, it was pretty early on. And it's funny when I think back on that, Sarah, because I'm like, wow, that was kind of a high risk move by us, because as soon as we started dating, not like instantly, but it was, I think, maybe obvious to our coworkers, within a month or so. And I think that once we were forthcoming with our coworkers, it was almost like very quickly we became forthcoming on social media. I'm going to say, like, if I had to put a date, like within 6 months, I guess. And it was definitely a risk, because we all know what happens if relationships end badly. I mean, I'm a success story. I just got married to this person that I blindly put up my relationship with on social media 6 years ago. But it's but I would like to think that we kind of knew that this was headed in the right direction. I mean, I'd like to think that.
And
So,
I mean, a lot of people that have done this podcast, right? So many people are married to people within our industry that they've worked with.
yeah.
But you guys have a unique situation. Not only do you work together, you work in the same department, and then you go home to. I mean, what is that like? Okay, some people go to work with their spouse, but they work in finance. Someone else. You guys literally work in meteorology together. I mean,
I know.
Like, when do you ever get tired of Tucker, or do you not?
Well, that's what the crazy thing is. Yes, we live together. We are married. We work together in the same exact space in this building. However, because we work on different schedules, we have different shifts. Tucker does the weather in the morning. Obviously, he's been doing that as long as he's been here at Fox 5. I do the weather in the afternoons and evenings. We have pretty much opposite schedules Monday through Friday. And when I tell you we don't see much of each other, we really don't during the week. And it's been like that, except for maybe the first year, the majority of our relationships. So it's hard. I think that despite all those things, we wish we could see more of each other, because our schedules are such that it's like, I'll see you on the weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
Come Monday. It can be tough. So I think that has been and still is one of our biggest challenges, is, believe it or not, even though we work together and live together, we don't see much of each other.
I know. Yeah, TV schedules are crazy. And when you first started dating, because I think people know this too, Tucker and Steve Shenevy are like best friends. How worried were you that Steve Shenevy was going to be in your relationship? I mean, it's almost like you had to really, it's like your sister wife. I mean, at first you kind of had to date Steve Shenevy too. I mean, that's a lot.
Totally.
Yeah. How much, I mean, was Steve always around when you two were trying to like hang out?
Oh, yeah. No, I was dating Tucker and Steve, I think, for the first couple months. I didn't really realize it or choose it, but I mean, whatever. Steve's a great guy. He was along for the ride, right? And I think that everyone at Fox 5 was probably like, which one's she actually going to end up with, Tucker or Steve? Because, they're a unit, right? They work together. They see much more of each other than I see of Tucker.
Best friends. And they've been, good friends for years and years. So I'm like, it takes a strong woman. And of course, Steve's now married, which is like amazing. We never thought we'd see that day, right? I mean, good. I love that Steve is married, but like, you do a delicate balancing act, although I think you guys all get along great. But I mean, that's tough. You guys all work together, you hang out. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, this sounds very incestuous, I think. Gosh, don't they have anyone outside of Fox 5? What is going on there? And it is a little weird. And and I know, there are many stories through the Fox 5 history like that. I truly feel like something is in the water here. All of these relationships, now I'm one of them too. And I know it is kind of crazy. So I'm like, who's going to be the next one? Like, come on, I don't want to be, I mean, we're due for a new pairing anytime soon. But Steve is great. I've obviously known him as long as Tucker. He just got married too. His wife, Stephanie, is one of my good friends. They are wonderful. They were at our wedding. So Sarah, yes, Steve has been with me the whole time, including him and Steph were our witnesses at our wedding. As per British Bermuda tradition, you have to have people sign off. They were like our impartial guests. So he literally signed off on Tucker and my wedding.
Are you guys planning to buy a house with them? What are your thoughts?
We already bought a house, and they're not allowed to come over because we have to have some degree of separation.
Oh, that's new. Okay, where did you end up? I mean, obviously don't give us the street address, but you and Tucker bought a home. When did you guys buy a house?
We did. We did this about 6 months ago, because why not complicate your life even more when you're planning a wedding during a pandemic, that by buying a house, and financially, let's just do it all at once, right?
That's my God, crazy. The house, the wedding. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a year, I know. But we live in DC, and we wanted to stay in DC. I mean, when people were giving up on the cities left and right there, we really believed that that's where we wanted to live. That's where we had been living, and we wanted to stay there. And, honestly, it already feels like it's coming back. So it was, we think, a good move. So, so we're now, and that, Sarah. That's scarier than getting married, buying the house together.
It is, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
it could destroy your credit score if something happens. You're like,
Yeah.
this is way, this
You're
is
really stuck. I mean, you can get a divorce, but getting both your names off that house, I mean, that's much more intimidating.
good
No, I'm
luck.
kidding, but, yeah.
All right, we've talked a lot about your relationship. I think people know a lot about that. But all right, tell me about, you grew up in Pennsylvania, right? That's where you're from?
Yeah, I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so not too far away. Grew up there and went to school in Pennsylvania. I went to Penn State, where I studied meteorology. And
Which
from there, I entered.
Penn State's a very big deal. I mean, you must have
Mhm.
been, you are extremely smart. You must have done very well in high school. What were your SAT scores?
Oh, my SAT scores.
I mean, are we
Not as good as
talking? Are
you
we talking
think.
1400, 50? I mean, you must have.
No.
You're,
No, I think my SAT scores were around 1240,
Okay.
which I do remember. And that's respectable, right? You
Yeah.
cracked the 1200 mark. And
Yeah.
they were not like, oh, this is great, but they were also good enough that it was like, I felt like, okay, I have a shot of getting into Penn State, which is where I wanted to go to school to study meteorology. But I mean, here's the thing. High school was not overly challenging for me. I mean, I did well. It came pretty naturally. College was a totally different story. I mean, studying meteorology you've got to be really math and science inclined. You have talked to some of our other meteorologists who are that. I know you have.
Yes,
and
yes.
it is.
Without
not
naming
one of
names,
those.
some of these people are very, yeah. So I bet people don't realize that about meteorology, right? Because you guys have a tough gig where like you get one weather forecast wrong. Because I mean, my God, these damn Gulf streams change like every 10 minutes. I mean, and then people are like, you guys don't know the weather. You don't know the weather. But there's really a lot of science, right? When you become a meteorologist, it's a difficult major.
It is difficult, and it's never going to be easy because it will never be perfect. And if it was a perfect science, we wouldn't be existing doing the weather. I mean, you just throw up a slate and it would give you exactly what's going to happen in your neighborhood on TV. So it is very challenging. Now, I liked weather first, then TV. Some people are the other way around, but it's a very rigorous program because I think it's this like you've got to prove yourself that whether you go into TV or not, you can deal with the challenges that come with forecasting. And a lot of those challenges are what you just said, not getting the forecast right and doing better. I mean, it is a really humbling profession, and people will make sure you know that.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about getting too conceited about your job. They'll bring you right back down.
Right. Yeah. You'll never feel like, don't worry, you'll never have an ego. I mean, if you do, there will be something that'll come around the corner to put you in place. Yeah. I know. I mean, it's totally challenging, but I like it, and I still like it. I do the weather part of it. I do still really enjoy. And so I kind of dove right into broadcast meteorology upon graduation. I had started at this place, AccuWeather, in State College, Pennsylvania, where I went to school. That was a great, learn how to be on TV, training ground, wonderful first job. I then moved, because TV people move to the most obscure places,
Sure.
right? I moved to Omaha, Nebraska for 4 years, where I worked at a TV station there. Then I moved back to Philadelphia, which was my home market, Fox 29. I worked at our sister station. And I was there for 3 years, and then I came down here. I transferred down to Fox 5.
So had you ever been in DC much, or known anything about the market, or knew anyone here when you came down?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Of course, growing up near Philadelphia, I was familiar with DC and had been a bunch of times. But the best part was my sister and brother-in-law already lived here, and they probably moved here about 2 years before I did. So I would come down and visit them, and I'd be like, DC is amazing. I mean, I liked living in Philadelphia. I wouldn't say that I loved it. And so kind of the manifesting that if you believe in this.
Yes, I do. Tell me.
Trying, I was not happy at my current situation for many reasons at Fox 29 and in Philadelphia. And I would, a couple of times came down to visit my sister, and I'd be like, this place is awesome. And it was kind of just projecting this image of being on TV in DC. And I don't even know how conscious I was of doing this, but it was like I manifested it. And then at the point when I was like, I want to get out of Fox 29, I literally reached out to a contact. I knew someone down here and made it happen.
Wow.
I'd like to think.
That's pretty amazing. I mean,
it was, it was just like okay. So, in this business, it's like I have always been, kind of striving, I guess is the right word, of like working your way up the career ladder, getting to a better job, within that job, getting a better position, within that position, getting a better schedule, more seniority, right? It's like striving for the next, for the next, for the next. So I was well versed in moving. I'd done it several times and, was ready to be on to the next phase in my career. So I was really excited about moving here when I did 6 years ago. I thought, like, fresh start, great city. I hope it goes great.
Okay, so did it unfold pretty like smoothly when you reached out? Because it's actually a common theme, an interesting theme of these podcasts have been everybody has really been they've sort of had this moment, like kind of like what you're saying about manifesting, or they had this really interesting career move where they like called a boss back and then like suddenly ended up getting the job. So, okay, when you reached out, did you instantly get like an interview with Paul or Kyle or Patrick? Like, did it all unfold pretty quick?
Okay, so this is what's so interesting. And by the way, it really, I know this is like one of the biggest cliches in the world of working about it's not what you know, it's who you know. But this is absolutely my story of how I ended up here at Fox 5. I mean, when I was at Fox 29, I worked with Kyle, actually, our assistant news director, Kyle Kermian. He was our assignment editor there. And Patrick, actually, before he was the general manager at Fox 5, was the general manager at Fox 29. Now, when I started at Fox 29, I think we only briefly crossed paths. It was early 2012. He was shortly thereafter at Fox 5, if he wasn't already. Anyways, fast forward to 2015, Kyle had left to go to Fox 5 a year before. I called him and said, look, I'm in this situation at Fox 29 where I'm doing this really grinding schedule, like double shifts on the weekends. It was really tough. And, I just knew there was no more growth for me there. And I just needed a change. And I said, do you have anything? And so this is me literally calling up Kyle and asking him. He says, yeah, let me get back to you. He calls me back. And so one person who I really have to thank in the journey of getting me here is, believe it or not, Julie Wright. You remember Julie,
our
right?
traffic woman for years. Yeah.
Well, Julie, I said, do you have any weather openings? They didn't have any weather openings or any need for a freelancer. However, Julie had just left and she was gone. They had some like guy from Total Traffic kind of like voicing over the traffic temporarily.
Yes.
And Kyle said, look, I don't have a weather spot right now, but could you come do traffic for a few months and then maybe we can work something out. Now, I had done traffic before, just in doing the weather up at Fox 29, sometimes we did traffic. So I said, sure. And I was like, wait, am I moving there for a traffic job or am I moving there for a weather job?
Wow.
But I was kind of in a situation in which I had severed my ties in Philadelphia. And I felt almost like, all right, this is my opportunity. I've got to take it. I did traffic for about 3 or 4 months until Erin Como, our traffic reporter still today, got there. And then seamlessly was worked into a weather spot. So Kyle and Julie really helped me get here and establish myself and to meet Tucker and everything. It's like, they get a chapter in my book, I guess.
They get a chapter in your book. Wow. I love it. Yeah, people have all taken their like sort of, I don't know, they've manifested it. They've taken control of their destiny in this podcast episode. That's wild. And was it okay, when you do get promoted and you're going to be a meteorologist, was it intimidating working with Sue Palka? I mean, probably the most, aside from Willard Scott, rest in peace, like the biggest weather name here, right? And of course, the irony is like no one could be nicer than Sue. Sue is like the sweet, she's not competitive. She's not like cutting down other women. But were you like, oh God, I've got to like work with Sue Palka. Like everyone loves her. I mean, how am I going to get the audience to like me?
I know. Sue is, I mean, in a word, Sue is amazing. And she is an amazing person. And she has been so amazing to me. And it's like, if I could do one service of paying it forward in my career is to treat other women the way that Sue has treated me, right? Because you are so correct, Sarah. There are, unfortunately in this business, a lot of women that maybe not necessarily are looking out for other women, more specifically, those kind of up and coming, the younger ones coming in to do the same job as them. But Sue is fabulous. And I think that, of course, when I started, I knew that it would at least give, and not just Sue, but everyone in the Weather Center pause, like, who's the new person? Did we even really need a new person? And if so, whose job is she going to take, right? That's usually like the thoughts, when someone new starts. But, Sue, if she ever had any reservations about me, I would never know. I mean, you talk about someone who is so welcoming and just so helpful. I mean, Sue has been a mentor to me since I started, but she's also one of my best friends. And like, Tucker's great and all, but having Sue to work with is amazing. I mean, she's who I spend most of my time with, right? Because we have similar schedules, and we have for the past several years. And she's a delight. I mean, it is such a blessing that I've been able to work with her. So any intimidation I had, like, she just puts you at ease like that. So
she's amazing.
She's not intimidating, but she's also totally, I know you know this, but she's also hilarious and just has the best sense of humor and way about her. So it's great.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, speaking of that in your career, I mean, you're gorgeous, you're stunning, you're naturally thin,
Sarah,
which I'm very jealous of. You're always like, you have this beautiful Barbie doll body. I mean,
God, Sarah, thank you.
Okay, but I have questions. I have questions about this, though. In your career, who's been nastier to you, men or women?
Probably women.
Really? God, don't you hate that?
Yeah. I mean, it's women. And, I have come across definitely a sleazy guy or two along the way, but this is very stereotypical, but it is also what has happened to me. The women have been nastier, and there's been some guys that have, done the like sleazy hit on you. By the way, you can't do that in 2021 anymore, sort of stuff.
Thank God. Yeah,
thank God.
We're moving beyond that. Yeah,
but anyone starting now, hopefully you don't have to worry about that. But the women, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. Like, it too, is that just TV or is it radio as well? Is this universal? Like, I've only ever worked in one industry, and it's not all women, case in point, Sue Palka. And there's a lot of women I work with here who are awesome. And I feel like I'm at a point where I am actually working with a lot of great women, but no, it has not always been that way.
Well, it's funny because, see, I've had the opposite. Like, I worked with really toxic men in radio. Like, I mean, but they were also really awful to other men. I mean, it wasn't just like about women. But, I'm wondering too, like, has it annoyed you in your career? I mean, you do fucking weather. You are there to do weather. But everybody sort of has, like, when, whether it's news directors over the year, people have comments about your appearance, what you should be wearing, what your hair should look like. Does that drive you nuts when you're like there to do the weather?
I've really gotten over that by now. Initially, it would make me very upset if I got a comment from even a viewer, but especially from a boss about my appearance in a negative way, or even like what I'm saying or how I'm saying it, those sort of things, critiques. But I'm so glad I'm at this point. I could never relive those years. I don't really care. I mean, at this point, I feel like, okay, if it's my boss telling me I have to fix my hair, then I'll fix my hair. But at the same time, I don't even really care what anyone else says. I mean, it's like, it could be so bad, but you move to a place of like, that is all rides right off you, like you just have to let it go, or else, I don't know, just be debilitated by all this stuff.
And you realize it's so subjective, right? It's like, one person thinks you're hot, or one person likes your hair, the other person, it goes on and on. Like, it's like, you're just never going to be everything to everybody. But
yeah.
Share with us, though, what's one comment, whether it was from somebody you worked with or a boss or a viewer, share one comment that got to you at some point. And what was it?
You know, believe it or not, look, the appearance comments, anything that's negative is hurtful, but the ones that make me, the ones that sting more are comments that kind of cut to more like of my intelligence or my performance. When I was at my last job in Philadelphia, there was a new news director that came in at the time. And he said to me, like in one of our first meetings, I guess, you know, I really was not sold on you. Our general manager did his best job to try to convince me otherwise, but you're still gonna have to work a little harder at that. And I was so floored, like, oh, okay. So you're basically telling me you don't like me or my performance. Our general manager tried to be like, no, she's not that, she's fine, she's good. And you were still like, no. And I was like, yeah, that is absolutely the one that stuck with me because yeah, that was like my boss, and he was brand new, and he was like making impressions of all of the talent, and was like, "Yeah, I just don't know about you." That
Yeah.
probably is one that stuck with me the most.
Oh my God, I can imagine over the years. That's like,
Yeah,
I know. Hopefully, we're getting to a better place in the work environment, but who knows? But you're obviously at a place where you're like, I don't care. You know, you've gotten
yeah,
this.
and I think like that was, you know, I guess that felt more like I don't know. I think that just why it stuck with me, right, is well, I'm a people pleaser by nature, but you know, I learned early on, you certainly can't please the general public. There will always be someone who has a negative opinion of you. Even if 99 people have positive opinions, there will be one out of that 100 that has a negative. But I always felt like, okay, appearance, whatever. I know that I do a good job and I know that I know what I'm doing. So to kind of just be told, like, I came into this spot and you're like just not very good at your job, like that was, I guess, more impactful. So,
Oh yeah, I mean that
you
would
know, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I just was like, God, you know, that's just the one that kind of really stuck with me over the years.
So how have you gotten to this place of confidence? Like what is it just like, you know, is it outside work you've done on yourself, or is it just kind of getting to the point you don't like where do you get your confidence? How are you in this place where you're just happy where you are?
Um, you know, beaten down from doing 15 years of television. Time is a gift. No, I do think, you know, that there is a certain level of apathy that I have gained since starting in this business. And it's not apathy like I don't care what I'm doing and I don't care what this looks like on TV. But if you can learn to not care what other people think about you, and that is so much easier said than done, right? I mean, everyone knows this now because guess what? Everyone has an audience. Social media exists. You know, to not care what people think seems impossible. But I think as I have gone along in this career and I've become more confident as a meteorologist and in my performance, I'm like, you know what? There's this barrier of like, it's going to bounce right off me. I don't really care what you say. And like, look, I mean, people will still say stuff that it can sting for a minute. And I let it, like, if that happens, I'll be like, okay, that was hurtful. Deal with that. And then, you know, move on from it. So,
Yeah.
I really just think you do get to a point, and this is what older and wiser people tell me too, just about life in general. And it's very freeing, you know, when you get to a point in life where you just don't care.
Yes.
So,
You know what? Isn't that the beauty of age? Like every single
yes.
year that you get older, you care less. And it is true. I mean, that is the gift of age. Like people are like, oh, getting old sucks. But the best part is that you don't give a shit what anyone says. Like that's
Totally. And that's a trade-off I'll take. You know, I will. It is, yeah, it's hard getting older, right? Especially as a woman and especially in an
in front of a
appearance-driven
camera.
field.
And yeah.
But
Absolutely.
whatever, I don't want to care, so I'll take that.
Exactly. All right, let's go back for a minute to your childhood. So you grew up, you have a sister. Do you have any other siblings?
I actually have two sisters. So I have one who lives in DC. She's 2 years younger than me with her husband and her two kids. And then I have another sister who's 8 years younger than me. She's much younger, and she lives in Philadelphia. So they're both close.
Okay, so all girls growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so were your parents Did anybody work in the broadcasting field before you?
No, actually, that's a good question. No one worked in broadcasting and no one worked in meteorology either. So I am the first in my family to be in any sort of field like
And
this.
what did they say when you decide to go into broadcasting? Were they supportive? Did they not see you doing that? Like, how did that all play out with your sisters and your parents?
Yeah, I mean, my parents were very encouraging. They were super encouraging of me studying meteorology in school. And then, once I was there and kind of discovering broadcasting and building a career in that, very, very encouraging. I mean, they were very helpful about, they were very understanding. You got to move all over the place. You're going to be working weekends, working holidays. It's not easy to travel and to make all these life events. So I would say they've taken it all in stride, and they're really happy about it. I mean, they too probably, when I was living in Philly, like, they got to watch me. So that was fun.
Yeah.
They got to actually kind of see me do the weather. Now, of course, they probably also heard, different people say negative things about me from time to time. And I'm sure maybe that gave them pause, because, you always hear about people's family members who are like, kind of their parents are like lurking on their social media pages, like, don't you say that about my daughter or whatever. Oh, thank God my parents aren't like that. But
that would be great. Oh, I was hoping you would say that story that your parents would go and troll Fox 5 viewers.
Troll viewers or whatever. But no, they were not, thank God. And they're still not, I don't think. But
that'd be so good.
Yeah, they've been great. And, my sisters too, they, I think they're like, oh, I'm glad I don't do that, but great that Caitlin does.
No, Caitlin, okay, talk about your relationship with Tucker, because I think people know this too, but you guys do have an age difference, right? Like, is it 15 years or 20 years? Like, what's the age gap for you and Tucker?
So we are 18 years apart, which sounds like a large age gap, and it is, right? Like, that is 18 years is a lot.
Tucker manages to not like, he never looks like he gets older on TV, which I'm not sure what products does Tucker use, because was it Botox? I mean, what's he using? He doesn't seem to age. Or Steve looks like
neither of them do any.
I know.
Much to my chagrin, neither of them do anything. I do it all. They're a generation older, and they don't age. It just is not fair.
I agree. They both look really good. What was that like, though, when you bring? Okay, so you tell your parents, you're obviously dating. Maybe your parents have a big age gap, but 18 years is a lot, right? Like, did your family have pause when you first were together?
Yeah, I think that when I first told them I was dating Tucker, well, they knew who he was because they were like following along. I just started at Fox 5. And I think that gave them pause. I mean, just like, oh, she's just like quickly jumped into this new job and now quickly dating this coworker who also does weather. Like, all right. Way to just, jump on board with a coworker like week one. Yeah. That doesn't seem very smart at a new job.
Oh boy, how's this going to end? Okay.
I know. So, but to their credit, they kept that inside themselves. And once they met him, and you hear this all the time, maybe you have something about someone that you're dating that when you present it doesn't sound great, right? But then when you meet the person, it all dissolves. And I actually think they probably thought Tucker was younger than he is too, because he does seem younger. And truthfully, I really, and he would have to speak for this too, but it never really feels like we have that much of an age gap, unless we're talking about like, movies, music, or political events. Like, I'm like, okay, sorry, I was 10, but no. So they were really great about it, and they once they got to know him, I mean, how can you not love him? And so they really have been supportive of our relationship the whole time. The longer it went on, probably the more confident they were about it too, because I think at first they were probably like, what? But
but okay. They never showed that. It was really good. I mean,
Yeah, I know. So I'm lucky.
And what about for you? I mean, I love your relationship because you guys, again, like when I started at the start of this podcast, it is almost like a reality show for you because unfortunately, like people know everything about your lives. But one of the other things I give you a lot of credit for is you're a stepmom. Now, Tucker's son is old. I mean, he's almost 18, right? Or is he 18?
He's 20.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, you're not even really a step parent. I guess you were a
I
step
know,
parent.
does that even count?
No. Okay, next question. No, I mean, now he's like
No.
grown. But I guess,
Oh,
I
no.
mean, how is that dynamic as well? Because when you marry somebody with a kid, I mean, you are marrying them. But now, I mean, he is older. I mean, he's sort of doing his own thing. I keep thinking he's like
Yeah.
12 still, but no, he's grown.
Yeah, he is grown. Right. He's a grown adult. He's in college. He's 20. But he, so it's very interesting. Like, I am like, oh my God, I'm a stepmom right now. Like, if you want to be a parent, let me tell you the easiest way to ever be a parent. And that is to marry someone who has a child who, I met Hudson when he was 14. Now he's 20. And he's always lived on the West Coast. Now he's in college. But before that, he lived in California with his mom. And so I got to know him probably pretty slowly because it was only if we could be in California or if he came here. But we have a great relationship. And he is such a fabulous kid. He's not a kid. He's a fabulous young man who is my stepson. I know, I can't even believe it. And he's so great. Like I'm so blessed to be, if that's how I'm a parent, then I consider myself very blessed to have Hudson.
That is awesome. And look, feel free to say no, because I know some people find this question offensive or not, but I am curious. Like, do you think you and Tucker like want to start a family?
I mean, and that's totally fine. You ask. A lot of people ask. It's like the natural next question after getting married.
Which is
it's like
somewhat annoying. But then
it's also, I get it. Look, I totally expected it, and I get it. And I mean, to be honest, I'm gonna have to ask you, Sarah. Tell me what it's really like, because I don't know. I mean, Tucker and I really love.
You should do it.
You think so?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you were, I always say this, because, I was like an older mom. Like, I did not want to have kids until 35. Like, before that, I was like, I never babysat. I never liked children. Like, I actually feel terrible. Like, when a lot of my friends had kids, I don't even think I sent them, like, a baby shower gift. Like, that's how much I did not like children. And then something at 35 kicked in. I don't know. I would look at a baby. I'd be like, oh, my God. And then I'd be like, I want to have a baby with Schman. It was like when people say biological clock, I didn't believe that.
Right.
And then like it totally hit me. So I always tell women that are like 35 plus, I'm like, if you are at all curious, you should do it. Like, because it is the greatest. And even just like one kid, it's amazing. It's like life changing. And you see all the best parts of like each other in this baby. And you're just like, oh my God. And I don't know. I feel like you guys should do it if you're thinking about it. And I mean, now it's cool to be like an old dad. Like Tucker will go to like the playground, and it'll be like he'll fit right in. He'll fit right in with the other dads. They're all like, everyone's having kids at all ages. Yes,
I know. You're like, are they a parent or a grandparent? No one knows. No one cares. They could be both, either or. We would so be the old parents. I mean, I'm 35, so you can do the math on Tucker. And it would be like, and I think it would be hard, starting over again, right? It's like, okay, one graduated from college. Here's the next one, right? It would be a lot.
One in each, yeah.
Yeah. And I do, I have a lot of, I think it's just very conflicting because we do love our life the way that it is now. And I think if we didn't have kids, that would be fine. And it's not something that I really need. But that's interesting what you said. And I love your vote of confidence. And KJ is just so adorable. Congratulations, by the way. Again, I am so happy for you and Schman. And was he always all in with it?
He was always all in. I mean, honestly, I think we broke up. We got together and broke up many times. I mean, I probably bitched to you. I don't know how many. I mean, everyone at Fox 5 knows all our story because I come in and be like, I'm dumping this guy. They'd be like, all right, Frasier. Anyway, so... But yeah, like fourth date, he was like, I want to get married and have kids. I was like, this is a red flag. I was like, I need to get out of here. This is a red flag. Like, this guy just wants to have all these children. So anyway, but of course we end up making it. But I will say this. I mean, your life does change. Like, if you guys love the way you travel and you love to go out to eat and you like to be spontaneous, I mean, a lot of that does halt, like as Tucker already knows. I mean, it is, you do give up that, at least, especially like KJ 7 months. Like, we haven't really done anything. I think we've been on one date night. So take that as a warning, I guess.
Yeah, but that's a win. You've at least been on one, Sarah. It's like one a year. It's really good.
But you said something I'm curious about. What is the question that people ask you the most? Because you said, naturally, of course, people ask
Oh,
this
right.
question. But over the years, what have people asked you the most on social media? Or in general, or in life?
That's
Or
a
what?
good question. Yeah. I get asked a lot if you weren't a meteorologist, what would you be doing?
Hmm.
And to which I still say, I have no idea. It's like having a kid. I'm like, oh, I have no idea. And then I'm like, all right, at some point, I'm going to have to figure out the answers to these questions because the windows are closing. I'm not 25 anymore. But, I get asked that a lot. And it's really a tough one, too, because I don't know. I kind of had a very focused tunnel vision from college to career to now. So I haven't really stepped back and been able to figure that out. I would like that opportunity to kind of say, what else would I want to do with my life, so to speak?
Yeah.
And so I do get asked that a lot. I get asked, different career questions, like if you could be in a different city, where would you go? Do you want to move on and do something else with your career, or is weather it? A lot of those types of questions. And I always do welcome them. I mean, even if people, like we just said about when are you going to have kids question, I don't mind answering these questions. I think hearing what other people have to say, I so appreciate what you just had to say, is like, well, it's just really nice to hear how it's worked out for other people. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
like, you don't have to have any experience with kids. Like, I didn't know. I never even changed. The last diaper I changed was literally probably 20 years ago. I never babysat. I didn't know
Sarah.
anything. So I'm just saying, like, you don't need, like, if you're worried, just have the kid.
I know. Because I agree. Like I babysat a lot growing up, and I was not into other people's kids. You couldn't wait to leave. Get me out of here.
I hear ya. No,
all your friends have kids. You're just like, I am so glad that's not me. It's.
I felt that way forever, and now I'm like,
right.
oh, I love KJ.
Oh,
yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, tell everybody, because I'm always, everybody's sort of, and you have too. I know you've revealed things that you don't normally talk about with viewers. But what's an event in your life that really impacted you? Good, bad, funny. What's a moment that really changed you in a way?
Oh my God, Sarah, this is like so deep. Really changed me in a way. No, I know
that you want to share.
That's really good. Yeah. Gosh, instead of it being like, because I don't know that I've ever had, for example, some people have very significant moments that have happened in their lives. Some of them can be really sad, the loss of a loved one, or something really awful happening to them, or a family member, knock on wood. I really haven't had any of that. And, or specifically to me, I mean,
thank God, you're so lucky. I hate moments. I think it's refreshing to hear people that it gives me hope. Like, I'm like, okay, from this point on, like nothing tragic is going to happen to me for like 30 years. Like, because now I have hope because of you.
I know, right? Good. Trust me, I've gone through 35 years. And of course, have lost people along the way. And even in the past 2 years, have lost some family members. And it's been a hard time for absolutely everyone. I don't know who's gotten through it unscathed, but I think less than having like a pivotal, oh, this happened sort of moment is I had certainly a phase in my life. I talked earlier about I moved back to Philadelphia. This was my home market. This was a big market. This was like, could have been it, right? And I just went through a time period there where I was really unhappy. I was really not being good to myself, and I was really not making the right decisions. And I can look back and see how I was kind of just a bitch to be around, I think. I mean, my coworkers were, I think probably so sick of me just complaining all the time. And it was really a lesson to, to kind of look, I mentioned also I've been a people pleaser basically my whole life, and I've kind of done a lot of things that others have wanted me to do that maybe I didn't want to do. And so when I kind of finally broke out of that situation in that place and moved on to a better fit, which would be here, it was like things fell into place, right? And I know that this is also such a cliche, like no one's going to come save you in life. You have to be the person to take yourself out of that situation that's not working for you and change it up and try to make it better. And then things kind of fall in line for you. So I feel very fortunate that I can speak so positively of my past 6 years here. and how I kind of got out of like a life that I didn't want to be living and into a better one, I guess. I don't know if that really answers the question.
No,
but,
that's awesome. I think that gives people such great hope. No, I think that's a fabulous way. We're ending these with kind of rapid fire of questions, you know?
Okay.
So I'm just curious, like, when was the last time that you like laughed hysterically? What was something that like made you laugh?
Oh my God. I know the last time I laughed hysterically, this was on Thursday. And this was because Sue, who I told you, Sue Palka is so hilarious. And she came in and it was like a crazy day and she was really frazzled. And she was trying to text someone, but she texted the wrong person in our office. And she just like, and then the autocorrect was on. And it was just one of those like total technology malfunctions. And she cracks me up. So we were just dying over how she couldn't text.
Okay, if you could scream it from the rooftops, what's one thing that you would want people to know about meteorology that they don't know?
Oh my God. I want people to know about meteorology that it is really effing hard to tell you what's going to happen at your house this weekend when the snowstorm comes in. There is no model that has your house as the pinpoint for what's going to happen with the weather. When we say the weather around here, we mean, you know, the DMV, not your house. And so it is really difficult to pinpoint it just for you and your life.
Oh my God. Your answers on this show today, this episode have made me laugh.
Oh, good.
What's a hobby that you have that we don't know about or you're curious? Like, I mean, are we going to see you and Tucker making like, you know, pottery together here in the next like 5 years? Like what's a hobby like that you, maybe that we don't know you have or you want?
Oh my gosh. I wish we had Okay, so my favorite hobby, actually, not many people know about this, is I'm a huge reader. I love to read. So it is, you know, what I always, it's like how I relax. Like, yes, I watch TV too, but I love to read. And I do think, like, if I could turn that into something, I would love to be a writer. So maybe one day, yeah, I will write a book, or Tucker and I will write a book. I mean, I've never even seen him read a book, but maybe one day he'll get on board.
Can you imagine if you guys wrote a book? Like, there's so many puns, like, and like weathering the storms, like, you know, it's just like a marriage and work. Like, there's so many puns. Okay, tell me.
I know, and no one, trust me, no one wants to read anything from us.
Oh, look, people love you guys. All right, tell me this. What's the most annoying thing about Steve Chenevy? I mean, aside from his wife, you know him so well. What's one thing that... Steven's... What
You're
drives
so mean.
you... What
okay,
drives
Steve's not allowed to watch
this.
This
has been all about poor
Steve.
Poor Steve Chenevy has been like dragged through the mud on this episode.
Steve takes so many pictures on vacation, Sarah. And when I say so many, do you follow him on Instagram?
I do. Yeah, but
Steve, I've been on vacation. He takes so many. I mean, everything from like the breadbasket at the dinner table to palm tree number 1 through palm tree number 20, you know, the toilet paper. He takes pictures of it all.
All right, last question. Tell me somebody that...
Yeah, I can't believe you haven't seen his Instagram stories when he's traveling.
You know, I don't think I have, because I feel like he doesn't post a lot like on his feed, but I've got to look now at his stories, because maybe it's the stories. That's where he shows all the pictures. Oh my God, that's hysterical that he takes endless photos. All right, last question. Tell us someone that
I'm sorry.
No, poor Steve. Tell us someone that you look up to. Who do you look up to? You admire, has been your mentor, somebody that's kind of, or I don't know, maybe it's your religion or whatever it is. What has kind of been somebody that you've turned to for great advice in your life overall?
I mean, I would definitely say my parents. You know, I do look up to them. I ask for their advice all the time. I mentioned Sue. I have had other Sues in my life before in different phases of my career that I absolutely lean on and look up to them for advice. And, you know, honestly, I sometimes I just ask Tucker, I'm like, look, you're older. Tell me. Give me the advice of the older, wiser one. And I ask him too. Like, I mean, I don't mean to sound so like, oh, I just asked my husband what to do. But I absolutely seek his advice as well.
Oh my God, I love it. Caitlin, this was so fun. I feel like people have learned so much about you. We get to see you every day on Fox 5. Tell people, okay, what's your schedule? When can people watch you? And then where can people follow you?
Okay, so I am on Fox 5 starting at 4 p.m. So I do the 4 p.m. show in the afternoons, 5:30, 6:30, and then 8 p.m. on the Plus, our Fox 5 Plus channel that we do. So I'm on in the afternoons and evenings in the mix. On Twitter, of course, Caitlin Roth, Fox 5 DC, and on Facebook, Instagram, all of that. So, we're getting into winter here. We'll be bothering everyone with all of our winter chatter nonstop. But this has been great. Thank you, Sarah. You make this so easy. And gosh, you really just have a way about you of making people want to confess. This is a great skill.
Oh, good. Just in time for my confessions show. Where people have to come on and confess. Well, Caitlin, it's so fun. I can't wait to see you in real life. And, it's just awesome. And the audience loves you and, for better or worse, loves you. I mean, it's better for us, but I'm sure you guys probably love it private sometimes. But people love you and Tucker. And so it's so awesome to see you guys happy and that wedding happened. So congrats and can't wait to see you.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone. Oh, honestly, I do just want to say everyone who has said, people are so unbelievably nice. And we are so lucky that yes, we had a stressful wedding and everything, but the comments that everyone said to us, we read them all and love them all and love everyone and love you, Sarah. Thank you.
Love you, Caitlin. Okay, Caitlin Roth, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.